This video presentation is brought to you by the Pro Mathematics Academy. Welcome back to this video presentation brought to you in part by the Pro Mathematics Academy, right? And we'll be continuing our series on trigonometry. And in particular, we now look at the sine ratio, which is given by opposite over hypotenuse. So there are two uses for the sine ratio. One, right, we can use the sine ratio to solve for the missing side, or we can use the sine ratio to solve for the missing angle. Here in these two examples, we'll look at how we can use it to solve for the missing sides, and then for example number 3, we'll solve for the missing angle. So here we have an instance where, for example number 1, we're given this side, which is the opposite side to the angle. Here we have the angle being 52 degrees, right? And the missing side is the hypotenuse. So let's look at what the sine ratio formula says. It says that the sine of 52 degrees is equal to 5 divided by x. Note here, I am using the exact same form as what the equation is up here, right? So my 5 represents my opposite side, my x represents my hypotenuse, and my angle here is 52 degrees. Now I can plug in the sine of 52 on my calculator, right? And if I plug in the sine of 52, please remember that your calculator has to be in degrees mode, okay? So I enter the sine of 52 and I end up with 0.788 approximately is equal to 5 divided by x. Now I'm trying to transpose for x, so this means x is equal to 5 divided by 0.788. Plugging this in on my calculator, I end up with 6.345 as my answer. So here my units is meters, and so the answer must be in meters as well. So thus the value of our hypotenuse here is given by 6.345 meters. Next, we look at example number 2, right? And notice this time we have the hypotenuse, right? But the opposite side is missing, okay? So since the opposite side is missing, I'll call it y. And if I write down my equation, right, I should have the sine of 30 degrees, since we have 30 degrees as the given angle here, is equal to y divided by 15, because 15 is our hypotenuse. Notice what I'm doing here is I am keeping this form. I plug in the values that are known and I leave the unknown as a variable, right? So if I go to my calculator, right, I can plug in the sine of 30, and remember our calculator has to be in degrees mode here. So I end up with 0.5 is equal to y divided by 15. I'm transposing for y, so this gives me 0.5 multiplied by 15 is equal to y. So therefore, this means y is equal to 7.5 kilometers. Okay, so we found the opposite side here. Let's make a note of that. So here we see that the opposite side was missing. And over on this side, the hypotenuse was missing. Okay, so if the hypotenuse is missing, we can use our sine rule or sine ratio. And if the opposite side is missing, we can use the sine ratio. All right, let's look at how to use the sine ratio to solve for the missing angle. All right, so using the sine ratio to solve for the missing angle. So here, let's draw up our triangle. Of course, our triangle has to be a right triangle, right? So here the angle theta is missing, but I have 6 being the opposite side, okay? And I have the hypotenuse being 11, okay? So let's use cm for our units here. Right? And we don't know the value of theta, so we're going to say that sine of theta is equal to 6 divided by 11. I go to my calculator and I type in 6 divided by 11, right? This gives me sine of theta equals 0.5454545. Continuing, right? So now what I will do is I'll transpose for theta by saying theta is now equal to sine inverse of 0.54545. Continuing. So notice that here, once we have sine of theta equals to a particular value, in order to get theta, we must say that theta is equal to sine inverse of that number. Okay, that's very important. So we go to our calculator now and we go for the sine inverse function, which is found by pressing the second or shift button. So now when I plug this in on my calculator, I get theta is equal to 33.06 degrees approximately. Okay, so that is how we use theta to find, that is how we use the sine ratio to find the missing angle. So in summary, the sine rule, sine ratio can be used to find the missing side or missing angle. Okay, that is it for this video. Please remember to hit the notification bell, like, share, and subscribe for future post notification.